Greetings and welcome to Rock the Crown. I am here with my queens, Nafisa, Naima, and Nefertari. We are here for this episode of season 3. And this episode is going to talk about community life. And in this episode, we are highlighting African American Muslim women in our community. These women have been known to break many barriers, and we are highlighting them because we want to recognize them in this month, the International Women's Month. We want to highlight these sisters who are really on the move and doing great things and really representing the Muslim women wonderfully out there in the public eye. So our featured nominees come from many different backgrounds, but all have shattered the glass ceilings for Muslim women all over the world. So as we discuss a few of their accomplishments, we also want to invite everyone to support their causes and to keep them lifted in prayers, as they are always in the spotlight and are always subjective to all different sorts of biases that we could not even imagine, right? So we just want to keep them lifted in prayers. Ladies, we love you. We appreciate everything that you're doing. So first, I wanted to highlight one very well-known sister who came out. I first heard about her back in 2016. It is Iptihaj Muhammad.
Mhm.
This wonderful sister is an entrepreneur. She's an activist. She's a speaker and Olympic medalist in fencing. So, number one is two reasons to really highlight her. One is because I don't think that it's for African Americans that really even follow that sport, right? The fencing sport. Like,
Right.
how many of us have really, gotten involved in fencing, even seen a match? So that right there for her to have been exposed to that, at such an early age, is really something that should be commended, to her parents for really exposing her to something outside of what we normally do in our communities.
Right.
So that is super awesome. So she was in 2016 was the Olympic bronze medalist. She's a 5-time senior world medalist and a world champion. So in 2016, she became the first American woman to compete in the Olympics and wear her hijab. So that, got much publicity. I'm sure that I can only imagine, the pushback that she got in trying to do this. A lot of times they want you to conform and to, wear what they wear and fit into this, this neat little box, and she just refused to do that. And she expressed herself, expressed her religion, and made it to the top in doing so. So I think I'm reading that Ibtihaj was also excelled at Duke University. Any of you ladies know anyone went to Duke University? Have any
Oh,
alumni?
yeah. We got Jamila,
Mm,
Aisha.
Yeah.
mm.
Did Angela go to Duke as well?
No, Angela went to Northwestern.
Okay, but we have all of these stellar women in this Atlanta community who did go to Duke University. So shout out to them as well. Those are her comrades, or
Yes.
college colleagues.
Daya, I found it
Mhm.
interesting too. I think I saw um Ibtihaj in an interview. I thought it was interesting. I saw her in an interview one time, and they were asking her, of course, about the hijab and all this other kind of stuff. But I thought it was interesting when they asked her about, how why she chose this sport. Because it is like an unusual sport. I mean, who even thinks about fencing in that aspect of it?
Right.
So I thought it was really interesting how she said she was just very athletic when she was younger and she wanted to play a lot of different sports. But of course, because of the dress, like a basketball or track and field and stuff like that, she couldn't participate in that. So she was looking around for a sport where you can basically be covered from head to toe, like Muslim women did. And that's kind of like how she kind of chose the sport. So I just thought that was really interesting, to hear that's why she chose the sport, because it was the one sport that you could be covered up in. And then as that grew, she grew to like the sport. But I just thought that was interesting little fact about her.
Yeah,
Very.
Nafisa, you know, because a lot of times with sports or, you know, even being a cheerleader, you know, sometimes Muslims, you know, you go through high school, it's like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And a lot of times what stops them is they're looking at what their costume looks like, what their outfit, uniform, what do they have to wear, and, you know, not wanting to be different. And look, you know, I remember when I was in high school, you know, running track and whatever, you know, my sister used to hate to have to put leggings on up under her shorts or whatever it was. So I could definitely see why she would, you know, want to see like, okay, where can I perform better and still be able to do what I, you know. But sometimes people think now she's definitely showed like you can be a superstar and do what you do with wearing your garment, like, you know, because sometimes people feel like they can't wear as much because it's just gonna be in the way, you know. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that is absolutely fabulous. And another thing that Ibtihaj brought to us, she brought our first Muslim African American Barbie doll. So Mattel actually, created a Barbie doll in her in her image, and so that was absolutely fabulous for our young girls to be able to grow up. You know, because we grew up right with Barbie, and we were so excited when we got the first Black Barbie. And then I think they started working on a full figured Barbie. And so now they have the African American Muslim Barbie. I think that's absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
So Ibtihaj also dipped a little bit in the fashion industry. She launched her own clothing company, Luella. And she, aims to bring modest, fashionable clothing to the United States market. So there's one, you all try to support that. Get your girls that Mattel Barbie doll and support her modest fashions. I think that it's I'm sure it's online, Luella. Luella Fashions.
And Dia, let me see if I can share it. I brought it up on the screen. Let me see if I can share the screen right quick. So you all
Nice.
can see it. Oh no, it says host.
Hold on 1 second.
I don't have.
1 second.
Okay.
You got to give it to you.
That would be nice. Give her a minute.
Say the word.
Okay. Yeah,
and I know she has fashions from different, she has different, types, casual, formal, everything. It's really nice.
And while you're pulling that up, Nafisa, I remember when Ibtihaj came here to Atlanta, we were doing a voting. The Georgia Muslim Voter Project had an assembly outside of the African American. What is it? The African American History Museum. We did a program out there, and she was there. Everybody was like, "Oh, can I get a picture? Can I get a picture?" And then she later ended up coming to the community cafe at the time, located near the Atlanta Masjid, and featured and actually spoke to over 40 young people that evening. So that was just great opportunity for her to not only come talk about voting, have a small speech, but also just interacting with the young people. So she's all about the full community. So I appreciate that so much about her.
Great.
That's wonderful. So the last thing I wanted to mention about Ibtihaj is also she released her debut memoir. It's called Proud. And Proud, My Fight for an Unlikely American Dream. So there we go, shattering those glass ceilings. I think that's absolutely awesome. And then she also became sports ambassador with the U.S. Department of State's, empowering women and girls through sports. And so she was nominated by President Barack Obama as a member of the President's Council on Fitness, Health, and Nutrition. So she is definitely doing her thing, and I can't wait to see what else she gets involved in. And again, let's support. Even sending her some love. A lot of times when they're out there, just sending a nice little note. If you have access to their page, I'm loving what you're doing, girl. Keep it up. We love you. We support you. And if you're listening, Ibtihaj, keep up the good work. We see you. Keep rocking the crown.
And Time saw you as one of the 100. She was listed as one of the 100 most influential people. So yeah, Time Magazine sees you as well. So that's excellent to have her on that list also.
So Nefertari's going to go ahead and highlight our next African American Muslim woman rocking the crown.
Yes. So this is really kind of near and dear to me. This is one of a famous fashion designer. We all kind of gain a little bit more about her with her being on Project Runway back in 2014. Miss Nzinga Knight. Um, she like designs just very chic, modest fashion. And I would say she's been like one more so on the forefront, you know, African American Muslim woman in fashion. Of course, there are many other Muslim fashion designers here, but she is one who has been able to attract that limelight and to become well known across the United States, you know. And I would maybe take it even further beyond that. And so I know when I saw her, you know, it's not just about you and your experience and your movement. It's about all of us. So when I saw her on TV, I was like, yes.
Right.
And so, you know, I myself am a designer, and I tried out for Project Runway back in 2008. And, you know, and that was like the season after Christian won. And I remember being there. It was so exciting. And, you know how you've seen all the long lines with American Idol. That's kind of like how it was. I was in New York. And I learned about it really late, and I was like, I got to get there, you know. And so, you know, you do everything you need to do. You know, make garments in overnight. And like, if you can't make it in a day, then you don't need to be on there. So it was really great. So I can imagine like what she had to go through to get there. And so to see that she got beyond that, I remember when I did try out, the words were, sorry, Nefertari, that's just not what we're looking for. And in my mind, I looked at them like, well, what are you looking for? You know?
Right.
And so being a Muslim designer, oftentimes you wonder, like, you know, if the world is ready for you. Like I said, this is back in 2008. And so there has been a lot of
Muslim
growth, like across the board when it comes to being Muslim in America, like, you know, and being African American Muslim, because sometimes we see designers who come from over here and over there coming to America, and, you know, they get highlighted. But we as African American women that are right here, we have many designers. And so, like I said, I was very proud of seeing her. And so she not only designs for Muslim women, but just women across the board, women of faith. And really, as a designer, when you're designing modest fashions, it's like anybody can wear your stuff. You know, it's like we promote our stuff. It's like you can wear the head wrap or not wear the head wrap, but it's something, or you can mix and match. You can put different things on. And so she's definitely shined her light with that, and even just helping other people. So she had a young lady orphan that modeled for her, and that was like really a big thing. So it's like, you know, once you start moving and going and being able to do and help other people, it just like breaks a lot of barriers, you know, for many people. And so she, like I said, she made headlines. Even prior to that, you know, in 2013, she had a collection during New York Fashion Week, which is another thing. Like, you know, New York, everybody wants to get to New York, you know, everybody wants to go to the fashion capital, you know. So it was like, you know, just being able to get that. And so, like I said, it just represents all of us, and it makes you feel so good to see your Muslim women thriving in whatever area, you know, just like Ibtihaj. And, you know, like you said, she's got her fashions out. And so we're excited about each other. We're doing those things, and we want more and more. So
yeah, and we have space for it. We have space for it.
Definitely, you know, it goes back to the bread owl.
That part, yeah. And people don't remember or didn't see that episode when we were talking about the bread aisle. Nefertari had read somewhere where, you know, someone was saying, hey, are you going to do that? It's already enough in there. It's like, okay, whenever you think that it's enough of a thing, go to the bread aisle. Right. There's always a selection, several selections. So it's room for everybody to do anything. So Nefertari, as you were talking about Nzinga having brought in an orphan to model for her, that really touched me, because it reminded me of how we as Muslims have this responsibility to the orphans, and have a responsibility just to community in general, to always extending our hand, always extending ourselves. And how the media has kind of tried to put us in a light where, you know, Muslims are terrorists and all of these other things. No, when you meet a Muslim, you're meeting kindness, you're meeting generosity, a Muslim will invite you into their home and allow for you to come and eat dinner. And it just, that's how you can tell that they're a Muslim. Just the generosity is so beautiful. So I really, really appreciated that aspect of her. And then also looking at Project Runway, we've also had another person in our community who has recently been on the show, I think in the last 2 years, 2-3 years, correct? So, you know, Nzinga being the light, or, you know, the one that we can actually say is the first, because what we often hear is if it's not someone of color, they're the first. But no, you're following and echoing the line of African Americans who have been here in America since the 1930s and before, who were not afraid to wear their covering back then, and have been consistent with wearing the covering and maintaining their life as Muslims. This is both men and women. And this is something that we need to continue to echo and say, because it's nothing for us to be ashamed of, that we African Americans were the ones that actually made being Muslim cool. And then also making sure that people understand that it's not just the Nation of Islam that are the Black Muslims. There are Muslim African American people who are following, as we would say, Sunni Islam or Orthodox Islam. Let it be known, there are millions of us here in America. So Nzinga, shout out to you. Ibtihaj, shout out to her. And in that process, we're going to be moving on to our next top 5 in the African American community. And we're going to be talking, yes.
Oh, hi. I did want to share my screen. I just want people to see some of the
yes. Let's look at Luelle. Let's look at Luelle.
I found some of Nzinga's fashion. So I just want to share my screen and so people can see some of the stuff that she's done.
Okay, excellent.
And let me see if you can I'll share my screen right quick. Okay, so you all see these designs right here?
Yes.
That she did, which are fabulous. And then let me scroll down. And so this is a picture of her. Even that cape, you can hardly see it, but that cape is fierce.
Yes.
That's one right there. Yes. And then this right here. Oh, I love this.
Honey.
This electric blue color. And with
that's Neff's color.
Yes, with the draping and then the incorporation of the head covering all the way down, modest, fashionable, but you know, just really beautiful. So I just wanted people to see, just to get a little taste of the fashion and you know, Nzinga's, you know, wears, so they can get a visual representation of it. So I just think it's just so fabulous that we're highlighting these women who have made strides and broken down barriers for African American Muslim women, you know, in this sphere.
Yes, excellent. And did you have a Luelle?
I did have the Barbie. If y'all want to,
yeah, let's bring the Barbie up. Yes, let's bring the Barbie.
Okay, let's see. I got a picture of it from this is Amazon, but you know, you can see kind of what it is. Okay, so you see how there she has that, and then let's see if it brings it up a little bit closer. But you see the box, how they have it in there, and then this I think is a picture of her.
Yes.
Fencing. So I just thought that was very good. This is like the back of the package where it kind of gives her bio, whatever. But I mean, this is just such a monumental thing of being able to have a Barbie like this of a Muslim woman in an unorthodox sport like fencing.
Right.
So that's fabulous. So I just wanted to share that so people can get a visual of what that is.
And Eid is coming up. So, you know, Iptihaj Muhammad Barbie in the Eid bag for our children, our beautiful young ladies growing up will not be a sad thing. It'll be a happy thing. Okay, again, going on to our next person, we are going to be highlighting Miss Suwad Abdul Kavir. Now, if anyone knows Suwad, she is full of life, full of energy. Anytime Suwad walks into a room, people could just be like, okay, yeah. Suwad walks in, it's time to get off your feet. Everybody starts dancing. She's just a ball full of energy. But when people talk about what it means to be Black in the United States, they don't talk about the Muslim experience. This is a statement that Suwad made before. And again, this goes back to what I was just highlighting. But Suwad is a scholar. an artist, and an activist. And when they talked about the Muslim experience in the United States, they don't talk about African American Muslims. Black Muslims are not a part of the popular imagination. It's something that she has spoken about before, but she aims to change that perception through books like Muslim Cool and other online projects. So if you haven't read the book Muslim Cool, I'm encouraging you to go Amazon, all of these various bookstores, get Muslim Cool. And she also is doing project like the Sapelo Square. It's named one of the country's first Muslim communities. And what happened with that specific project, so the Sapelo project in general, I remember them coming to Atlanta, and it was just so beautiful. I don't know if everyone was able to do it. They had kind of reached out, came, set up in the back of the masjid at the Atlanta Masjid, and did a photo shoot of Eid, Muslim families in their Eid attire. Woo! When I tell you this was sharp, oh my God. Just standing in line, because I know myself, my husband and I did it, standing in line with other Muslims dressed to the T. Now, you know, if you've never been to Atlanta, Georgia, for the Eid, you are missing a treat, because you talk about, as they would say at the church, sharp as a casket, as if you're in a casket. Muslims are sharp as if it is above Friday. Okay, so everyone was standing in line, getting their pictures done, and they turned this into a photo album, excuse me, online photo album that kind of basically represents Black Muslim families, not only as Muslims, but engaging in the spirit of Eid, which is one of our two holidays, same holiday, but different times. Beautiful, beautiful project. And then they also have other things that they have coming along. So if you wanted to follow the Sapelo projects, you can kind of look those up. But Suwad has studied in Syria. I don't know if you all remember, there was a large group of Muslims that were able to go to Syria because Imam Muhammad had kind of developed this project. I missed both times. I missed the first time because I was married, and the second time, yeah, you can't have kids, and of course I was always above above the crowd because I had gotten married so early. But yeah, so second group of Muslims were able to go to Syria, study there, and she is now an associate professor of Muslim American Studies at the University of Michigan, and she appeared on CNN in April of 2018 defining the Muslim Cool. So if you wanted to go back onto YouTube, check out that video. I'm encouraging you all to check out Suwad Abdul Khabeer, who is making big strides talking about the Black Muslims.
All right.
Excellent.
Fantastic. That is so fabulous. I'm just so excited to introduce this next top 5 of ours, right? Her name is Khadijah Diggs, and I really didn't know anything about her until somebody brought her to my attention, and I was drawn to it because she is a triathlete, and I had that as one of my goals for 2020. I wanted to compete in a triathlete, the sprint version, which is the very short version. And for those who don't know, a triathlete competes in running, they compete in swimming, and they compete in biking. So it's those 3 sports, and they have different levels. But Khadijah Diggs, she was on Team USA as a triathlete, right? And she is a Muslim woman, a mother of 10. Oh my goodness. I was like, if she can do it, oh my goodness. So she is a mother of 10. She achieved notoriety because not only was she the first African-American Muslim who covered to make Team USA triathlete, but she was the first, right? And she still is the only one, even though there are several African-American women who now have made the Team USA. She still is the only African-American woman who wears a hijab, that Muslim who is on the team. So that is like a big, huge feat and barrier that she has broke down. She became a silver Ironman all-world triathlete. I mean, that is magnificent. And I thought it was interesting. I'm always interested in a person's story behind the achievement. And so I thought it was interesting when I was reading about her story and I was watching her different interviews that she had. She said she just basically started out. Was going through a divorce, was going through some hard times in her life, and just started getting into exercising as a way for therapy for herself. So she just started out just kind of really because she was going through a hard time, said, "Oh, let me get into some exercising," which we're gonna have. That's going to be our topic next week, is different forms of exercising. But I just found that interesting that that's how she started out, as a way. She had a failing marriage. She lost a lot of loved ones to cancer. And just as a way to cope with it, she started exercising. And then the more she started exercising and get into the different aspects of the sport, the more she was drawn to it, the more she wanted to compete in it. And so then that's how it basically evolved to that level where she wanted to compete and train to be the best. But I just thought it was so great of that. And she said that her mission, she wants to change the world one race at a time. So she still competes, she trains others, and just recently with the whole 2020 thing, she started a new organization called the name of it is called DISC. And what it stands for is Diversity Inclusion Syndicate. And she said basically her mission with this program is really to try to recruit and train African American women Muslims to compete in this sport. She really wanted to open it up and really get people trained in this sport. She even had a launched March, last month, February. She launched like this competition for you to be able to get a spot. I think she was trying to have a competition where you can have like maybe 3 to 5 people that she was going to pick and personally train them, and have a team of her trainers train them to be able to compete at the triathlon level. So that's just a fantastic.
Are you trying to tell us you're one of those persons?
No, I'm not one of those people, because
okay, not yet.
One of those.
Not yet.
No, I can see it coming though.
And Naima's an excellent swimmer and cyclist, and I think I forwarded that to you, Naima. Like, hey, are you?
I know. I'm in a group with Khadijah, so I'm always asking her whenever. So we're in this group together, Muslimas Endure, and I run. You all know I run a lot. I'm not the fastest person, but I run a lot. And so whenever I was getting discouraged, people are running, they can run a mile in 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 9, 10, I'm more around 11 to 14 minutes, right? I'm the slow person in the group. I'm the tortoise in the group. But I would always reach out to Khadijah like, girl, how'd you do it? And then when I wanted to start, of course, riding bikes, I reached out to her, hey, what kind of bike should I get? And she's the one who kind of like steered me in the right direction. This is the kind of bike you need to get in order to do this. And I was just like, I don't know how you did it, but girl, shout out to you, honey, because, and again, everybody's not an athlete, but if you find yourself in, like, it just goes to show you, of course, she started this after her 40s, but it goes to show you that no age is too late to do something that you even develop a passion for, or something that can change literally your life overnight. And something else to note, that once Khadijah became a part of Team USA, there were, we don't have a lot of companies out that make Muslim attire, but there were so many companies reaching out to her wanting to make a full body Muslim bodysuit for her to be able to wear so that they could say that was their brand. But it's just interesting how everything plays out.
Yeah. And I do want to share my screen right quick so you all can see her. I thought this was interesting, her page. The visual just, to me, just does a lot to it. But you can see on here, this is her actual page. Her swimming here. This is a picture of her right here on her bike. And she just seems to have just a sweet spirit. I'm interested, since she's here in Atlanta, right, Naima, to be able to maybe meet her and exchange with her, and hopefully get some little tips about doing my first triathlon, which is probably gonna be 2022 now in this COVID stuff, but we'll
I
see.
love it. Yes, reach
We'll
out to
see.
her.
We'll see.
She
It's
will
probably gonna be
definitely do that.
2022. But the sprint version, the very
You're
short,
right. Whichever version.
is the
Anybody who can
sprint
do
version.
a small version, big version that's a win-win situation.
Right, right. Which my goal would be just to finish. Let me just finish it. That'd be a big accomplishment. So I just wanted to share that, and I thought that was just great. And again, kudos for her for breaking those barriers and competing at that level and maintaining her not feeling that she had to hide her Islamic attire or change who she was in order to be able to compete in a sport like this. So kudos to Khadijah Diggs. That's my highlight for this month.
She made that bike riding look real easy in that picture. She just was gliding with it. Look, I just recently started riding my bike, and let me tell you, it worked some muscles that you didn't know you had. I was like, oh my God, you got to walk it up some of them hills.
Bike riding and spinning, honey. You're like, wait a minute, what is that part and why is it hurting right now?
Right. So you can follow Khadijah too. She has a YouTube channel where you can follow different things that she's doing. She's also on Facebook. So if you just Google Khadijah Diggs, you'll be able to find out more information about her and follow her and probably join her groups, because she has during COVID, she started several different online groups for people who are interested in being a triathlete or just interested in really just bettering themselves, period, in terms of using physical exercise or whatever. She's very encouraging in that. So I just would encourage everyone who's interested in that, go look at her YouTube channel, look join maybe a group that she has on Facebook, and that's just a way for you to follow her.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you all for sharing these about stories about these wonderful women. The next sister and the final sister that I wanted to highlight is one that I came across a couple of years back. This, kind of brings us to a more serious tone. We have seen in the news where a lot of our African American, male and females have been gunned down, by police violence. And then also, just, of course, we talk about it, black on black crime, right? We do have a serious, serious issue with violence in our communities. And so Dr. Amina Matthews is our next African American Muslim woman that we want to highlight. And Dr. Matthews, in 2006, she joined Cure Violence, formerly known as Ceasefire. It's an award-winning scientific public health model that has been proven to reduce shootings and homicide. Even prior to her work with Cure Violence as a violence interrupter is the term that they're using. They use the term violence interrupter. So what Dr. Ameena does is she actually goes onto the streets, and talks to these young men and these young women who are just creating, who are, doing unspeakable acts of violence to one another, whether it's gang related or, just some type of domestic dispute, but they are really using guns and using violence, to handle their disputes. And so she actually goes in the streets with them, toe to toe, talking, woman to man or woman to woman with them, and just expressing to them the importance of their lives and the lives of those who are in their communities. So she just really goes and she tries to have these ceasefires, where she actually talks to these different groups of people who are feuding, who are having issues with one another, and she tries to work on some reconciliation, and she has been very successful in doing so. Her organization has helped to reduce homicides and shootings in her area. Dr. Ameena also worked on it was an award-winning documentary called The Interrupters, which was produced by Steve James. And he actually produced this to just show, highlight the work that she does in the community. and highlighting her as a community activist and a behavior practitioner. So while also showing her loving and nurturing attributes. So she's not going out there like, y'all stupid, y'all this, y'all that. She's going out there with love and really showing them, how I love you. And in one of the documentaries, she actually expressed to them how she feels about them, and it really, really impacts them. It's very, very impactful work that she's doing. So, as a highly specialized violence intervention expert, Dr. Matthews has developed her own anti violence organization called Pause for Peace. And I encourage you all to look it up, Pause for Peace, and make donations or volunteer or help in some kind of way. Let's get involved in this really, really serious issue that we have. We do have a serious issue of violence in our communities that needs to be addressed. So the organization places its focus on social change, social service programs that work to address and end violence in the lives of the impoverished and underprivileged youth in some of the toughest neighborhoods in Chicago. So she's based out of Chicago. I don't know if any of you have ever seen this. This would be a really, really good documentary to watch with the community. Atlanta also has a serious violence issue. We don't really hear about it unless it's a police shooting, but we do have a serious, serious issue with violence in our communities that we need to start being more active and more involved in. So this is a call of action, for us, to speak out, against it when we see it, or to just, support those people who are actually in the streets, who are actually on the ground, the boots on the ground, right? Who are, working to try to combat, this serious issue that we have in our communities.
I love that term, that the term behavior practitioner. I really love that term because I think that when it comes to communities and we are looking to have solutions within our community, it's really about behavior. And oftentimes it's what she's doing in the streets that is curbing that negative behavior, and that is telling them that they love them. Some of the people in our community are just emotionally not filled up. Their cups are empty. And what happens when you're not emotionally filled up, you act out. That's just what happens, period. And even in relationships, you can be in a relationship, one person's always acting out, and in turn you acting back out. But it's all because some emotional need is not being met. And generally that's the love need, that's the attention need, that's the acknowledgement need, that's the I see you need. And if we just continue to do what she's doing, not saying that everybody has to be this in the streets, but just even in our homes, because that's where it starts, in our homes, being a behavior practitioner, not just a mother, a behavior practitioner. So knowing that you are creating this type of love, security, and we know that we try to do that anyway, but just kind of going beyond what we normally would do to make sure that the child and the people within our home are getting what they need, not what we think they need.
Right. And it's so interesting because when I first came across Dr. Amina Matthews, it was so strange. I was sitting watching TV and I was watching Black Girls Rock, right? I was watching Black Girls Rock. And then they start, they always start off with, somebody kind of introduces her and then they give like a film or something like that with the background. And I'm looking like, who's this Muslim woman right here? And so, and I mean, she just had such a powerful story. And then when she came on stage, and I was like, wow, so that just goes to show you, her work was already being recognized, not just by, Muslims, because a lot of times we just think, oh, we're the only ones that's recognizing each other, but recognized but by the broader community, because at the end of the day, your work really speaks for itself. So I just thought that was very powerful that she got that award from Black Girls Rock. That was 2013. And it was just a very powerful statement. And I just felt so proud when she walked on that stage as a Muslim woman, as an African-American Muslim woman. And the fact that she was, we don't like to really talk about the colorism a lot of times, but the fact that she was a dark-skinned Muslim woman, because I'm a brown-skinned, dark-skinned Muslim woman. that just to me, I mean, I just felt very proud in that moment. And so this is just such a great thing that we recognized her. And I did want to share my screen. I brought her up because she just has such a beautiful photo in here where she's actually, and I'm not sure if this is old or not, but she has this photo here. I mean, she's just so gorgeous. Ameena for Congress. If she's actually running, this is in Illinois. So this is just such a great, but I just wanted people to be able to have a visual representation of her, along with us telling you about the different things that she's accomplished. So I just wanted to share that with you all. And you can go to her page, aminaforcongress.org, and you can read a little bit more about her. But, you know, these are just the fabulous people that we have within our midst. And if we don't celebrate them and if we don't acknowledge them, no one's going to know. You know, no one's going to know. So it's just a pleasure to be able to share this type of information with our community. Yeah. And I just want people to be able to know that.
And recognizing our firsts.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So that was the last thing I was going to mention, is that she is running for Congress. So those of you who are in Chicago, of course, you know, but then also for those of us who are not, you know, still support the campaign. You know, the campaign dollars goes a long way. You know, even if we were to hop on a bus and go down there at some point and knock on some doors to help our sister out, you know, because as we can see, you know, throughout, there's a common theme in our episodes and our seasons. It is that political action, you know, and it is, you know, us being able to see how our vote is helping to impact our lives. So definitely being able to put this sister, you know, in a seat would definitely help, you know, not only with the violence issue, but also provide more opportunities for our young people, you know, give them more outlets. So we definitely have given you all some homework, right? So, you know, check out, you know, some of these wonderful books that these sisters have written. Check out their businesses, their clothing lines, get involved in their activism, you know, support their political goals, you know, and I also want to say that when we start searching for these, like when we go and we put Google Amina Matthews and they see that coming up a lot, this actually makes them relevant again, right? And it makes them say, oh, let's take a look at her. Maybe we should do a story on her. Instead of just doing one story, never hearing about them again, let's try to keep them relevant. Let's let their names continue to come up in our conversations. Let their names continue to come up in our news feeds, right? Because Google feeds off of us. When we search Amina Matthews, watch next week, Amina Matthews was here. You know, they follow us, right? So Amina Matthews is coming to your town, right? So let's keep it relevant, keep it active, keep the conversation going, and let's keep lifting our sisters. These are just a few that we highlighted. There are several, many, many more, you know, who are doing great things in the community, and we need to continue to highlight them. If you all know of any that you like, maybe, you know, next year, we love to talk about some of these, you know, just say, hey, next time you guys mention this sister, you know, she's out of, you know, New York or whatever, you know, we would love, 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 love to hear your suggestions, you know, and your recommendations. So I will close us out of this episode of Rock the Crown. Like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and follow us on Instagram. And Naima, whatever I forgot, Naima will let us know.
You did that, honey. You did that.
Right.
We love you,
so
Nation.
Enjoy your weekend.
Peace out.
Peace.